Okay, so please, I'm going to introduce this guy, yeah? And some of you have seen him before, some of you maybe have never seen him before. He organises Stanza, which is part of the Hastings Poetry Society. It's the poetry section of Hastings Poetry Society. He's an absolutely lovely fellow, and he's an amazing poet. His delivery and his words are just absolutely amazing. So really soak it up, take it in, and give a warm hand for Anthony Mayer! Yes!
No, I'm not going to play an instrument. In those early days, love was a simple weave with newly discovered threads, your warp, my weft. The days we spent together were a shuttle moving from side to side, our time apart, an unseen beater tightening the knit. The cloth we wove was strangely natural. We wore it daily, and it moved like we did, easily. Time passed. The colours didn't fade, nor did the edges fray. But gradually, we noticed subtle changes in it, as if during our sleep it had been removed and worked on, then replaced silently. New coloured threads embroidered loops and knots, created landscapes, still lives and portraits from our shared existence. Every compromise was a small rosette. I found some sheets of tissue, wrapped the fabric round it, and placed it in a drawer, guarding against the chance of loss. A decade later, I come across the drawer by chance. I open it and see how the cloth still glistens, but also how some unknown hand over the years has stitched between the coloured threads small pearls, cornelian, onyx, tiger's eye, and opals. I spread it out in front of you. It's ours. And now, you sleep. A book dropped from your hand, the light still on. It's winter, and the wind whistles between sashes. You stir, as if content. I take the jewelled brocade and cover you. It's lined with fur. The corner of my eye catches, between the fabric's fold, a diamond's glint. Thank you. That's the first of 6 poems I want to give. I don't want to overrun my welcome, but thank you for that. Let's have a little poem about Hastings. Monday, April 10. And so hot, it's as if this seaside town's a person stepping off a plane in Nice or Madras with a shock of heat against the skin. Postmen start wearing shorts again. Windswept trees breathe mists of green, and the oily sea lies as flat as a man sleeping on a bench, where the blonde he dreams of will wake him with a forgiving kiss. In the high street, windows open on upper floors, and a pianist's riff on the spring sonata's adagio wafts like perfume down to the woman in the souvenir shop, who comes to the doorway, leans against the frame, and lifts her face to the sun, eyes closed, in the hope that on opening them she'll be on the Côte d'Azur, stretched on a lounger, sipping a whiskey sour. Would it be at all possible to switch off the light which is giving me a stroke? Something a bit more serious. When I was 20, many years ago, I had a vision, a serious vision. At the time, I was a sort of observant, practicing Catholic, long since gone. And to cut a long story short, this resulted in my spending 3 years in a monastic order. And when there was the publicity about, and press news about girls in particular being radicalized by ISIS, it struck a bit of a chord. And I did a poem which is called Jeanne d'Arc on flight TK1828, which is Turkish Airlines flight, trying to bring together the three things of Joan of Arc and what I'd experienced and one of these young girls. A vision started it all, a shimmer at the edge of a field, a voice that brushed her ear, strange shadows dancing in a shaft of light who took her in their arms. You're young like her, and when you check in, I'm surprised you're alone. You adjust your headscarf, walk off with your boarding card, anonymous in your abaya, like a nun. On the flight, I watch you, wondering if you've heard voices like those Jeanne spoke of, which press against the skull. When we land at Istanbul, a young man, bearded, seems to check your face against his phone, then waves, but doesn't smile. As you leave with him, I think of the day when I felt light flood through my ribs and heard a voice instruct me. Does it all seem clear to you as it did to me? Did they talk of sacrifice and secrets? Later, I saw how small a spark can trip the brain's tight circuits, darken the sun, and conceal a demon with a conjuring trick. When the flames lifted Jeanne's hair into a crown, I asked myself now if at last she understood she'd been deluded by turns of the twisting mind, if she wept for the victims she'd never prophesied, caught in her dreams, ashes blown in the wind. I was reading an article the other day in one of the poetry magazines, and it was two poets who were talking about why they wrote. And one of them said that she realised that why she wrote was basically because it helped her mental health. And it was a bit of a, what they call light bulb moment. And I thought, yeah, actually, I think that's what it's all about. And those of you, many of you who write, you probably feel, it just makes you feel better. Because there are those moments when you're completely transported. A white mule comes to me one morning. It stands beside the desk and waits. Its small hooves dent the Turkish rug. It doesn't nuzzle me or paw the ground. Its quiet breath warms the back of my hand. I turn and stroke its muzzle. It follows me round the house and down the street. Nobody seems to find it strange. We fly over the winter sea, and clouds leave drops of silver on its coat. We travel to the back streets of Aleppo and hot springs outside Reykjavik, to Ouagadougou and La Paz. We watch a sunset in the Hebrides and wander down Fifth Avenue in the snow. In my study, roses and delphiniums, stocks and lilies line the bookshelves. The ceiling opens to the sky, and I gather stars like blackberries. The mule is very like a unicorn. Tigers sleep beside its hooves. I'm working at the moment on what's called a bestiary. A bestiary is a series of poems with an animal for each letter of the alphabet. And it's really good fun. Sometimes you don't know when you're writing whether you're talking about an animal or a person. And I got a bit distracted by wasp. What first attracted me were the flat black glasses of your eyes, then your slender waist and the stripes curving tightly round your rump. I liked the busy way you flew from place to place, your thin legs scrabbling for a hold. You left small traces of your passage, dregs of alcohol, half-empty jam jars, and abandoned fruit. I knew what people said about you, but attraction blinded me to danger. I became obsessed, and I dreamed about a future where we'd live in harmony. It worked for a while. Then you suddenly lashed out. I watched you buzz away to lick imagined wounds while your poison festered in my skin. You'll say, I don't understand. That years of abuse have made you hypersensitive. You may be right. But love's a two-way street. Behind that glamorous facade, you're twisted a solitary hoarder of resentment. You'll be back, I know, but it's too late. I'll be ready with the spray. And finally, a little poem that I've ended with on other readings, which is a sort of a Hastings poem, called At Night. Your body warm against me. I slip into sleep. A boat gliding silently into the water. Sails of black velvet fill in the breeze. We float on a raven feather, engulfed by the darkness. Stay with me. Tomorrow, the sun will pour diamonds over the waves, and fish will leap silver into our nets.